The first person to use the term autism was Leo Kanner in 1943, and he described 11 children who had a lot of challenges with socialization and who were very rigid in their approach to behavior and to general life. So the word autism comes from the Greek word autos, which means self, and you may get that from autobiography, which also means a self-biography. Kanner's autism is now referred to as classic autism, even though some of the things that he talked about were actually not accurate in what we now think of as autism and the behavior characteristics that we ascribe to them. In the first place, Kanner did not believe that this was organic in nature. He thought that this was brought on from nature or the environment around the child, whereas we know now, of course, that it is organic. He also said that their IQ was in the normal range, and while some children do have IQ in the normal range and are on the autism spectrum, not all do. Kanner also believed that these children were associated with high socioeconomic status, and so he believed that these children were born into rich families, and we now know that that's also not true, that autism doesn't discriminate, certainly by the amount of money that you have. You can see the web link below to read an excerpt from Kanner's actual original paper, and I find that pretty interesting. Hans Asperger also wrote about 4 boys who had clever-sounding language, which is similar to the pedantic language that we now describe in children with Asperger's, and children who had difference in nonverbal communication. In other words, they didn't use gesture and prosody and looking facial affect when they were communicating. They described them as having normal IQ, but very poor social skills and quite clumsy. And this was the kernel of what we now see as children with Asperger's, or the origin of Asperger's syndrome.